On this episode of the show, I have with me Nir Soudry. He is the head of R&D at 7AI, and we're going to be talking about moving from R&D to production quickly. And we're going to talk about the mindset regarding that. We're going to talk about security. We're going to talk about where AI and training comes into play, as well as human-led and AI-driven, and a few other things in there. Nir, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, before we dive in, what does 7AI do?
Yeah, 7AI is one of the many startups that are trying to leverage AI and agents today to solve real problems in the world, right? So we're doing this in the security space. Every company, big or small, have a lot of they have a lot of security alerts, right? From CrowdStrike with Sentinel, Okta alerts, atypical travel, phishing alerts, and as AI becomes more popular and attackers are using AI, there are more and more alerts. And today we have more than 1 million people across the world who are looking at these alerts manually and understanding if they are really malicious or not. So there is a lot of alert fatigue and nobody's really paying attention into a good portion of the alerts. And we're trying to make the world essentially more secure by taking these alerts and automatically investigating them and letting our customers know eventually if they're under attack or not, and really in minutes instead of waiting for hours until a human really dives deep into an alert. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely. That is a whole episode probably in of itself. But this episode we're going to be talking about moving from the R&D phase to production quickly. And I guess let's maybe start with that. When we say a timeline of going from R&D to production, I mean, and this is from your perspective, obviously, what's a good timeline? Like, obviously with R&D as well, there's some unknowns, right? So we don't know what we don't know. But generally speaking, what would be a good timeline from making it to that R&D phase to actual production?
Yeah, I think that the main thing is, are you delivering the right thing? Are you building the right thing? And when you're building it, is somebody even going to use it, right? So this is how we start any project here. We're first focusing on one customer, one POC customer that we want to focus on. And then hopefully by the time that we show something to the customers, the idea to the customer, we start to get their initial feedback. Within a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, we have something already on their hands. They're playing with this, they're giving us feedback, and 2 weeks afterwards, they're getting the next iteration. So not waiting months until there is a version that maybe the customer doesn't need anymore, but to putting something really quickly in a couple of weeks to the first customer and then expanding from there.
Something that doesn't get talked about enough within just technology, different areas of technology, is that lag from the business has a need to when technology can actually deliver something they can action on. We don't talk about it because we know has thus far been very difficult to solve. It just takes time, whether it's a small feature. I mean, there's a process and you have to go through it. And, I guess the follow-up question to that is every company, whether it's a software company, a legacy company, whatever, everybody wants to try to move fast. And I think there's always there are some handcuffs that you can't necessarily always get around. When we think about moving fast and trying to actually speed things up, obviously, if we could cut down cycle time from, hey, here's an idea to production, that'd be great. What have you seen work from that mindset?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. First of all, we have 2 types of things that we deliver. Some of them are really in a matter of hours or days from the customer request. So we're building in the agentic world. And we have learned that you cannot take AI and just let it do its thing and things will work for any customer. You actually, when we're working with a customer, we put our human, right? Our people here are talented engineers working with the customer and understanding exactly what is different in their environment and other environments, right? So then sometimes we're saying, okay, this customer needs their own agent. So within a day, let's build their own agent. So this is one type of work that we're doing. We've done a lot of work here on development velocity of building an agent, in reducing the amount of code that you need to write, in making sure that when you're building an agent, it's automatically testable. So when our security engineers, essentially, they're working with customers and trying to onboard them, and they need 10 new agents for this customer, or to change the behavior of a few agents, they can do it in a matter of hours. This is one type of work that I think the development velocity really helped. But also, a lot of maybe leadership attention on our side, right? We decided that we are going to make this security engineering team the fastest team in the world. Because our maybe competitive advantage is not only that we're building something that can work, but also that we can tune it quickly for each customer. And we put all of our management attention, the leadership attention, and including the salespeople. So if in the past you would see a salesperson talking with a customer, then calling the PM, and then calling the UX designer, and then you'll have a lot of docs and what does the customer actually want? And let's think about all of the customers and the future customers, what would they need? We're trying to shortcut this and say, okay, our engineers and the salespeople are together in the same meetings with the same customers. They're implementing something for that customer. First of all, let's get it out for this customer, and then step back and see how it can connect to other customers as well. So it's both really shortening the time, putting the management attention, and helping. I think this is across the company, trying to push decisions downstream. It's something that is really hard because as management, you're saying, okay, I know it all, right? I saw all of the markets. I have a lot of experience. I know both technology and business. So if you want to take a decision, make a decision, talk with me as a head of R&D, and then talk with the CTO, and then talk with the CPO and the product person and the UX, and talk with the CEO because he also likes product, right? And the architects. So all of these things create a lot of bottlenecks eventually. And what we're really trying to proactively push is that, the people on the ground, right? The people that talk with the customers, that build things for the customers, and we need to make sure that they are continuing to talk with the customers, actually the engineers, they know what they need to do. And they can ask difficult questions to the leadership and get a decision quickly, because leadership, we understood that we need to kind of unblock people as fast as possible and not to also fight between ourselves, right? Should I, as a head of R&D, fight with the architect about what the API should look at? Or let's just build something, put it out there, have the customer use it, and then look back and see once we need to improve it, then we can improve it. So allowing the people to make decisions, having us as leaders really open and have, when there are difficult decisions, help them make the decisions really quickly, and making sure that they know more than us about what decisions need to be done because they're really in touch with the customers.
Absolutely. And I guess in your case, you mentioned Avi agents. There's a lot of talk around building agents. Obviously, there's various companies are at different maturity capabilities with agentic. I guess when you look at agents and you're looking at developing agents and deploying them quickly, obviously you touched on security. Maybe what are some of the things you need to think about, especially if you're trying to move quickly? You don't want to really also create a problem by missing any steps here.
Yeah, it's a really hard problem because today, with AI, a lot of the things are actually less testable, right? They are LLM. You're giving instructions as you're building the engine, the agent. They're usually a combination between LLM instructions and code and data model on the back end, right? And you can make a mistake that changes your agent's conclusion, and eventually it trickles to everything else, and everything can change for this customer that you plan to make a change for, and for other customers as well. And I think it's not a solvable problem yet, but what we try to say is, first of all, let's scope the blast radius down as much as possible. So within a lot of guardrails, every agent that is run, we're trying to have it only affect the environment around it, right? It gets an input, it gets an output. This input and output are sanitized, and making sure that they are not, first of all, regular sanitization. They are not kind of creating malicious code that is introduced to the context of the LLM, but also they are answering the question that they were supposed to do and not coming up with new answers for other things. So there is a lot of guardrails that we introduce in the input and output of each agent. In addition to this, we have developed both LLM as a judge and evaluation frameworks that are, again, different companies are trying to do this, and it's much harder than the startups try to say that it's just a LLM input and an LLM output, and you know when it is good or not, and you can have an LLM as a judge that will tell you if this is good or not. But at the end of the day, it's not. If you really want to solve a big problem with agentic workflows, you have to have a full workflow, and dozens, sometimes hundreds of prompts that are going into the LLM model and back and back, and in between there are a lot of tools calls, and there is no one framework that can say, okay, I can analyze all of this process and tell you that it's good or not. And we're trying to build these things. We have our own people here that annotate good results, whether a good investigation that we have concluded if it is malicious or not. They're saying, okay, in this case it's malicious, and this is what steps I would expect agentic workflow to do. And we make sure that any code change actually makes the same things and improves. So kind of an A/B testing locally before we release things for the customers, and also allowing our customers to give us feedback in any step of the way. Click a button, say add feedback, and this feedback goes not only to the LLM to train the new models, but also to our people that would look at the feedback and to say, okay, maybe we should do something differently. So it's not that easy as it looks like. You have to have a lot of human involved in this, looking really deeply into the agentic workflows, because there are still hallucinations in the world.
Yeah, and I guess, when you look at that and you look at, we can just, 7AI, for example, you guys are building agents. You are trying to obviously scale that, build more agents. When you look at the AI, the training data, what goes into that, talk to us a little bit about where AI is helping actually deploy these agents and develop these agents faster.
Mm-hmm. So we can do things that we could not do before, right? The agents themselves are AI based, right? They can take an ambiguous question, like, is this user acting anonymously right now, right? And the agent itself say, okay, I actually want to run 3 different things. Did they log in from a different place, from a different geography, from a different account? And the agents themselves can say, okay, now I have 3 questions. Let me build 3 queries and get different data sources and get information from there. So it's kind of evolving, even a moving solution, you can say, because when we started, ChatGPT 4 was the thing, and it really did not do well in coding at all. But today we have much better models that we don't ask them to generate code, but they can actually generate queries for different systems. And there are new mechanisms for us to say, okay, this is a high-level question. Go and iterate with yourself. Try to create the code yourself. Have us eventually review the code in most of the cases and say if this is a good code or not, and just give you a check mark that you can put it in your library as good code that you generated. But sometimes, when there is a long tail of things that we still didn't know how to solve, it's better that the AI would continue to solve it than we would tell the customer, we don't know what to do with your alert. So it's a combination of our people are coming up with the ideas. They know the world about the security world, what is common in the world. They ask the AI to generate different ways to solve these problems. Sometimes the AI is learning from our guidance and creates its own guidance. And eventually things usually come to us to review, and we give this score to the AI. You've done good. Put this in your library and continue to generate your own stuff.
And it's actually really interesting. And you mentioned earlier on, there's so many alerts. If we're looking at security, the bad actors are also using AI. AI is trying to detect these. It's almost as though there's so much volume of data that interpreting what should be something somebody's paying attention to, obviously the component of having the AI and the human work together, that relationship. I think that relationship has been talked about up to now. A lot of people just think, or a lot has been made that the AI is going to take over a lot. There's also conversations that human-led and that human-in-the-loop component will be more realistic, because we still haven't achieved scale to evaluate it, where it's still conjecture to a certain degree. When you think about your guys' AI and your team, and you look at that human in the loop, that relationship with an AI, what does that look like? What does that partnership look like?
Mm-hmm. So usually our people will come with the idea after talking with the customer. The customer will say, okay, in my environment, I want you to look at this type of activity and understand if this is malicious or not. Or in my environment, this thing is a good thing, right? If people are using NordVPN after midnight from Asia, this is a good thing because this is what we're doing as a company. So I need you to look specifically on this case. So our people are talking with the customers, coming up with the idea. And then usually they just start with Cloud Code or Cursor, generate something, the code that would answer this idea for me, right? And you can generate in kind of abstract way that it can answer other things as well. And we've invested a lot in making sure that our AI tools are actually doing what we want them to do. Not just pipe dreaming, but also following our best practices and also thinking about what we've already built and building things that are similar. They're not necessarily good of building something novel, but if our repository already includes a big library of things that we're happy with, we can take this and build things in their spirit. So our people talk with their customers, generate this code together with the Cloud Code, put it in, right? There is a code review, automatically code review with all of the LLM tools. And then it also goes through the CI/CD pipeline, where there is also an LLM as a judge that takes your code and see this in a full end-to-end run and tells you, okay, this run is actually something that I would be happy with. We also want to introduce as well the Amazon just released the Nova Act model, which allows you to take your UI and ask the LLM to test if the UI continues to make sense, right, without building deep UI automation. Pushing this to production, we have our customers and we have LLM as a judge that continues to monitor production. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I guess when you're looking at that, and we talked about moving quickly. We're talking about AIs that are making decisions for us. I guess to go from R&D, especially if we're talking about AI products, there's a lot made in terms of understanding what certain thresholds of acceptability are for an AI product. I feel like maybe I don't know if it's fairly or unfairly, but I feel that humans are judged differently than machines are. We have a higher expectation for the machine. I don't know if that's because traditionally that's been the case. With AI, there might be learning and efficiencies gained and whatnot. When it comes to moving quickly and we look at how AI is being viewed, if it makes a mistake, the organization shifts its view of AI potentially, right? We've seen some famous studies, this MIT study that, 90% of projects in AI are failing. It starts making you wonder what's going to happen and how will adoption be affected if people who are using AI early don't look at the reality of, hey, there's a lot of growing pains when you are trying to adopt and implement something moving as quickly as this. I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think first of all, we see this from our customers, right? The type of customers that go and reach out to us either have a real problem today because they cannot hire enough people to do their job, and usually it's most of the world, right? There is so many security alerts that you can't see them all, but when you start to feel uncomfortable, when there is churn that people are leaving you and you cannot find another person and you want to solve it, sometimes quickly, sometimes more cost effectively, sometimes just better because AI can do it better. You're seeking for more options and you're hearing what's happening. So sometimes you're just accepting the thing that you're going to work with something new. And there are some companies who just look to work with something new and experiment with this because they know that eventually the world will be there. So first of all, working with AI products is maybe not for everybody, right? Some of our customers are not necessarily banks and healthcare, right? There are more companies in the software industry that are used to kind of take risks, or even investment companies. This is part of their lives, right? They want to be in the front line. And some of them are really just have the pain that they need more workforce and they cannot have it. So there is kind of a bias of who's coming to you. That's first of all. And second of all, I think when we are competing against another managed human solution, we are always saying, okay, don't test us one by one. Let's do a POC. Let's work for 2, 3, 4 weeks together with your human analyst. At the end of the day, look at the results. See who gives more accurate, faster, and better investigations, and who misses. And it's always the case that the AI is, on our case, is really accurate, more thorough, but you can also improve it, and it doesn't get tired, right? When it's wrong, just click a button, and next time it will be better. So we gain trust really easily. For the customers that are willing to kind of go with this experiment, they understand that if their standards are, it needs to be just better than a human being. Today it is.
Yeah, that's it's interesting because I think we overestimate our capabilities sometimes, and when we look at the broader scope of society and working, I think we're already using a lot of tools, and people just don't maybe look at that. And I think there's a whole thing around where people's perspectives are in this notion of AI. I guess when we're looking at AI, and you're looking at especially the quality, and you guys are deploying agents for customers, you're deploying agents. You've mentioned the process that the team goes through. When you look at the feedback loop to be able to ascertain if you are getting what you want from an agent, what does that look like? I guess from a quality perspective, what does the feedback loop look like?
Mm-hmm. So whenever we develop another agent, usually we test it on itself, right? We give it an input, give it an output. Our developers are checking it for a couple of examples. Okay, it looks good. The next thing is, as we build a developer experience framework, they're testing it as part of a bigger story. They take a previous investigation that was run. They're saying, what if this investigation would use my new code? And then they would see that just a part of this investigation changes, and also how it affects the end result. So they are doing this for a couple of steps. Afterwards, we're running the LLM as a judge on bigger number of investigation. But this thing is a bit costly, right? So LLM as a judge, rerunning investigations. Today, every investigation, because it does like hundreds of prompts, eventually would cost us a few dollars, right? So in addition to this, the LLM as a judge, you cannot run on any piece of code a large set of evaluation. All right, so we try to scope it down. Try sometimes say, okay, this agent just works on this customer in this use case. Let's release it and let's continue and monitor this on production. I think what we've learned that again, you need to have a lot of people that monitor this and tune the things even in production, because it doesn't work on the get-go. And our competitors sometimes are just, taking Cloud Code, hooking it up for a couple of MCPs. It's working, but it's not working. If you evaluate us one by one, you would see that all of the human guidance and monitoring that we are doing to improve the system day by day eventually puts us in another place. So it's still not just go ahead, but you need to train it every day to train it. And we hire people that look at things in production and train the system to continue to work.
Absolutely. I guess if you're looking at, in this case, you guys, as there's more agents being deployed, you're creating more data, more training opportunities, more better quality with better feedback loops. I guess those all completely make sense from what you've mentioned. When you look at the process itself and you look at AI being complementary to the engineering teams, are we going to see just the need for less engineers, or are we going to see a shift of going, they're just more productive, we get more done? You're just going to get more done per engineer, but it's not always a cost saving, because I feel like there's a lot of discussion around AI as being a cost savings for a lot of companies, and I think partially it's because productivity is hard to quantify. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm aware of all of these questions, but luckily we're a startup, and I think what AI allowed us is to get to numbers that we haven't thought about them before. We are like 8 months after going out of stealth, and we just secured our $130 million funding round, which is numbers that we didn't dream a year ago that we would get to them. And it's all because, AI allowed us to move much faster. And there was also good traction of customers saying, okay, this thing actually works. We didn't believe it. After we see it working, it works. So we get a lot of revenue from customers that are continuing to work with us. So this funding round allows us now to go and double the team and triple the team and just hire more people. What we haven't solved is still the human monitoring that is needed, right? So we still need to hire people to tune the system. And it's not that one engineer here can work on 10 customers, right? So we still need quite a few people to get to the accuracy that we need and to train the system. But eventually the number of people per customer will drop on our side. The system will just tune itself. And we hope, because we're a startup, we're looking for a hyper growth, we're not looking to just stay where we are, that we would use our people to build more novel features that would solve and automate more of this world. So the investment that we got, you cannot spend money without hiring a lot of people or training a lot of models, right? So we aim to hire a lot of people to gain more of the market. That's on our side. And I think it's maybe both the risk that you're taking, because if we will continue to do what we're doing in 2 months, it will not work. We need to continue and improve. If not, somebody will just pass us, right? So there is a lot of ambiguity right now in how do you move as fast as you can, and we try to be the fastest we can using AI and then continue to run and even hire more people and bring more AI to the table.
I love that. Nir, I was going to say, thank you for coming on and sharing with us. I mean, obviously, it's a fast-moving talking discussion that we have, because we just don't know what will happen in 6 months. I mean, things could go by and grow so fast, and which is always, an interesting thing. And I think with AI, maybe unlike other technology shifts, the speed of innovation is unreal. And I think what we're seeing coming out, day by day, week by week, is strides. And maybe that's what makes people fearful. It's just how quickly it's coming. They're not sure when that real moment will be, when they go, oh, wow, it can actually do more than I can actually do.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to keep on being on the edge.
Absolutely. There you go. So if somebody has a follow-up question for you, ask you maybe something about this process of going to, having a company move fast from R&D to production quickly, what's a good way of touching base?
Yeah, definitely. Look me up at LinkedIn. I'll be happy to chat.
Okay, awesome. So definitely will appreciate your time. And if anyone does have a follow-up question from Nir, please find him on LinkedIn. And that's it for this episode. We'll be back again, different guest, different topic. Until then, 2 things. One, I think it's a great topic. When we talk about a company that's actually deploying and developing agents themselves, that's the product. They have to go through and move quickly, and they're doing everything you're probably thinking of doing, and they're actually applying those learnings. And some of it is actually having to go through that process and build those feedback loops to really bring back that intel and keep going. I think that's what we're hearing. And please share this episode with somebody else who might benefit from it as well. Also, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know how the show's going for you. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.